We know that engagement with social media and our cell phones releases a chemical called dopamine. That's why when you get a text, it feels good, right? So, we've all had it where you're feeling a little bit down or feeling a bit lonely, and so you send out 10 texts to 10 friends, hi, 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 because it feels good when you get a response, right? Right? It's why we count the likes. It's why we go back 10 times to see if my Instagram is growing slower. Did I do something wrong? Do they not like me anymore? Right? The trauma for young kids to be unfriended, right? Because we know when you get a hit of dopamine, which feels good. It's why we like it. It's why we keep going back to it. Dopamine is the exact same chemical that makes us feel good when we smoke, when we drink, and when we gamble. In other words, it's highly, highly addictive. Right? We have age restrictions on smoking, gambling, and alcohol, and we have no age restrictions on social media and cell phones, which is the equivalent of opening up the liquor cabinet and saying to our teenagers, hey, by the way, this adolescence thing, if it gets you down. But that's basically what's happening. That's basically what's happening, right? That's basically what happened. You have an entire generation that has access to an addictive, numbing chemical called dopamine through social media and cell phones as they're going through the high stress of adolescence. Why is this important? Almost every alcoholic discovered alcohol when they were teenagers. When we're very, very young, the only approval we need is the approval of our parents. And as we go through adolescence, we make this transition where we now need the approval of our peers. Very frustrating for our parents, very important for us. It allows us to acculturate outside of our immediate families into the broader tribe. Right? It's a highly, highly stressful and anxious period of our lives, and we're supposed to learn to rely on our friends. Some people, quite by accident, discover alcohol and numbing effects of dopamine to help them cope with the stresses and anxieties of adolescence. Unfortunately, that becomes hardwired in their brains, and for the rest of their lives, when they suffer significant stress, they will not turn to a person, they will turn to the bottle. Social stress, financial stress, career stress, that's pretty much the primary reasons why an alcoholic drinks. Right? What's happening is because we're allowing unfettered access to these dopamine-producing devices and media, basically it's becoming hardwired, and what we're seeing is as they grow older, too many kids don't know how to form deep, meaningful relationships. Their words, not mine. They will admit that many of their friendships are superficial. They will admit that their friends, that they don't count on their friends, they don't rely on their friends, they have fun with their friends, but they also know that their friends will cancel on them if something better comes along. Deep, meaningful relationships are not there because they never practice the skill set, and worse, they don't have the coping mechanisms to deal with stress. So when significant stress starts to show up in their lives, they're not turning to a person, they're turning to a device, they're turning to social media, they're turning to these things which offer temporary relief. We know, the science is clear, we know that people who spend more time on Facebook suffer higher rates of depression than people who spend less time on Facebook. Right? These things balanced. Alcohol is not bad, too much alcohol is bad. Gambling is fun, too much gambling is dangerous. Right? There's nothing wrong with social media and cell phones. It's the imbalance. Right? If you're sitting at dinner with your friends and you're texting somebody who's not there, that's a problem. That's an addiction. If you're sitting in a meeting with people you're supposed to be listening to and speaking, and you put your phone on the table, face up or face down, I don't care, that sends a subconscious message to the room that you're just not that important to me right now, right? That's what happens. And the fact that you cannot put it away is because you are addicted, right? If you wake up and you check your phone before you say good morning to your girlfriend, boyfriend, or spouse, you have an addiction. And like all addiction, in time, it'll destroy relationships, it'll cost time, and it'll cost money, and it'll make your life worse.
If you have one of these or something like it, take it out and hold it up. I'm predicting pretty close to 100% saturation. Look at that. I'm right. Probably 90% by now. It's the first thing you do in the morning. When you hold up and you wake up, you check your little robot. It's on your body for almost the entire day.
Not only was I interrupted, I also kept on reaching out for my phone, hoping that perhaps there was a notification. And I wasn't doing this consciously. It was exactly like Pavlov's dog, but my bell was my ringtone, and my sugar was that one notification a day you might get that makes you happy. As it turns out, we got so addicted to technology that 9 out of 10 people today experience something called phantom vibrations. This is when you have your phone in your pocket and you thought it vibrated, you pull it out, there is nothing.
Now, if you went back 20 years in time to a coffee shop and you said that was the way a coffee shop was going to look in the future, you'd be out of your mind. People looking at these little pieces of silicon in various sizes, not really communicating with each other, communicating with their little robot buddies. You do know that one of these operating systems for these robot phones in our pocket is actually called Android. Right on the nose, they just define it. It's an Android, it lives with you.
So I wake up in the morning and the first thing I do is check my cell phone. I usually wake up a little bit earlier than I need to so I can have some time to catch up with what happened in the 8 hours that I was asleep. Get dressed for the day and do my hair, brush my teeth, and my cell phone's usually always by my side. I'm always using it, checking while I'm getting ready, checking my phone.
I have my phone in the bathroom and I check the time to make sure I'm not running late. It's surprising to me in the morning if I look on Facebook, if I do, how many people are already updating their status. And a lot of it's ridiculous. Like, I would never say that.
So usually I'll wake up, one or both of the boys will be in my bed with me. I'll check emails for my online business, do my hair, do my makeup. Somewhere during that process, all the boys are awake. So to keep them occupied, I'll usually hand off my phone and let them play so I can keep getting ready.
My wife and I wake up at 6 o'clock every morning. She leaves by 7 o'clock, and by 7:15, I'm getting prepared for what we're going to do that day, whether it's going to be a skiing trip. I'll glance at my phone to see if anything's messages have come that I need to respond to. And I'll check on my iPad more than my cell phone, really, because people will email me. My cell phone doesn't have any ability for emails.
We've reported plenty here on the dangers of using your cell phone while driving. Tonight, though, what police here in New York City believe is an eye-opening case of what can happen while simply using your phone as you walk.
According to
Here's
police,
ABC's Ryan Smith.
witnesses say the victim was using her phone at the time of the accident. A friend disputes that, telling ABC News she may have been feeling dizzy and fell onto the tracks. A family member reached by ABC News declined to comment. But as authorities try to piece together what really happened, the case could highlight what police say is a growing danger: texting while walking.
It's a big distraction. Pedestrians aren't watching where they're walking, they're not aware.
According to a national study, the number of mobile phone-related pedestrian injuries has doubled in recent years, even exceeding the number of injuries among drivers using mobile phones. Another study shows just how hard it is to walk in a straight line while focused only on your phone. And for so many of us who claim we can safely do both, our own Juju Chang discovered that might be a stretch.
You were just texting and walking across the street. Do you do that a lot? Sometimes. Do you feel like you're a little distracted when you do it? Definitely.
And as for that woman struck by the subway train tonight, David, she is in the hospital, and they tell us that she's in good condition.
That's the good news here, that she's going to be okay. Ryan, thank you.
The thing that's neat about these things, what people like, is whenever they open it, there's like gifts for them. Like, did I get an email? Did somebody text me? Did somebody this? Blah blah blah. You know, there's that excitement of like, you know, what do I have to open on here? What's exciting? Did I get mail? You know what I mean? Like, there's something kind of exciting about that, and that can be a little bit addicting.
There is a positive, significant link between texting and driving and people who use their phones outside of the car without putting conscious thought into it. So in other words, the technology is becoming somewhat habitualized. It's becoming routinized. It's becoming this kind of taken for granted thing that we just do, that we need, that we expect from one another.
I carry this around all day long and I use it all day. And so I think it's just become so part of our lives that just getting into the car is just an extension of you walking around with it all day. And you're just texting while you're going somewhere else and doing the same thing.
I don't know how you'd go about stopping it. I mean, look at the so-called war on drugs. How long has that been going on? And that hasn't really stopped anything, you know? So I don't know, dude.
I don't know. Like, how do you tell people that it's bad and to not do it? People still drink and drive and they know it's bad, or?
I think that our instant gratification, I mean, the cost of stopping the texting and driving would be that we wouldn't be instantly gratified.
I try to use the voice texting because I have that, but it's not the best. And even then, like, I'll talk, but then I look at my phone and 5 words are wrong, so then I have to look to fix the word. So
actually, for a while when I got my iPhone 4S and it had Siri on it, I actually did use it for a while to text, but after a while it just got so annoying that I could just type it faster than she could. Oh, did you mean this? Or did you mean this? Or period? Or blah, blah, blah.
It's not like you can like make it to where a cell phone will turn off as soon as you get in a car or something. I don't know.
I don't know. Well, honestly, I think the laws help a little, as much as I don't really love the idea of like government having to make these choices for us. I think that it does help.
Like if I got pulled over for texting and driving, that would be crazy. And sometimes like when I see cops, I like hurry and put it away.
Public awareness campaigns about, in California, they run a lot of don't text and drive, don't talk and drive, those things. I think by and large, those are good. I don't know how you regulate the technology other than that.
But I think the more it gets driven down our throats, the better we get. I mean, you hear it like at least once a day on the radio or TV or whatever, you hear about it, so.
And then you just slow down. Just slow down. It would be great. Like when I moved here, my kids could ride a horse and up to the market. That's what they need to be doing. They just need to be outside and just be a kid.
Help them realize that it's not like the end all be all of like having friends or being happy or whatever. It's just a means to an end, I guess.
Don't get so distracted by things that aren't important. I call it getting caught up in the thick of thin things. Being on a cell phone can be a very thin thing, and to you it's thick, it's important. At times it is, at times it isn't. The problem is we're thinking it's thick every time we use it, and therefore we don't get things in perspective as it should be. And you're distracted from things that maybe are much more important in life.
I don't think we can actually force or shape or change much of this, but what we can do is that we can become literate about these things so that we see them happening, we can point them out to ourselves and to others. So just like that word choice, I mean, people use the word choice, but I would immediately respond to that is that, well, things aren't nearly as much choice as you think, and once you make a choice, you may be choosing an environment which now limits your choices. So that gives you a vocabulary, and once you have vocabulary, you can then see things that you couldn't see otherwise, and then you can decide. A lot of people don't want to have to engage in that decision process.
I don't know, maybe it's just getting older. It's like you don't want to be yelling at windmills. It's like, this is what this generation's doing, and this is where the technology's going, and I'm just an old man who's happy to be able to, sort of keep up. I mean, I think this helps, on some level, it helps guys like me stay more relevant. And get an understanding of the world. And when you can look something up here, when you can have information here, when you can get to a movie, when you can find your kids, when you can do all that here, I think, that's awesome. Guy walks off a cliff with a cell phone, that guy was going to walk up the cliff anyway.